I mean, 100 men in one day, I can understand that. But 1,000 men in one day, what is going on? What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the Wholesome Rave podcast. Well, let's get on into today's topic. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Lily Phillips, who is an OnlyFans model. She's been going viral. I always talk about virality and people going viral for the wrong reasons, but hear me out, guys. This is a very obscure event that I am really surprised by. It's very shocking. Aside from the fact that it's a very shocking scenario that we are seeing, it's also a very sickening behavioral pattern that I have kind of observed by watching this. I only wonder what might be the reason why she has displayed such kinds of disruptive patterns and behavior. So there is a lot to unpack with this. Lily Phillips said this was consensual. She wanted this because she set up the whole documentary thing. So this documentary came out 8 days ago by a YouTube filmmaker who goes by the name of Joss Peters. I watched this documentary and I have to say, guys, I was really surprised. At first, I thought it was just a stunt, but actually seeing the documentary coming out, honestly, I'm shocked that she even managed to pull through this. The adult pornography business is a really huge business, and let me tell you, these OnlyFans models, they are earning a massive load of money off of putting themselves and sexualizing their bodies. We know all of the negative things that comes alongside with being an adult filmmaker. That is a conversation that I think is one of the biggest problems of the consent culture. So she decided to put up this stunt and break the world record of the most men that, a person can sleep with in one day. To be honest with you, aside from how shocking and surprising this challenge she undertook is, we really need to talk about how sick the whole idea is and how it's probably affected her in a really massive way. So let's watch the documentary together.
I'm Lily Phillips and today I'm getting ran through by 100 guys.
Well, I started when I was at university. Very, very tame stuff. Hand bras, underwear, things like that. Because I was at university, I was like, I'm being a anyway, could make a little bit of money.
What do you mean by you were being a anyway?
I was just being a at university. I was just sleeping around with everyone.
But I feel like I know of a lot of girls who have done that at university, but then haven't gone on to become OnlyFans stars.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I just was already very, not proud, very just okay with doing that. I've just always had quite a sexual nature.
Yeah. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I literally, I've never really cared what people think. It doesn't really bother me. I have such a supportive family and friends, and what they think about me is so much more important than what strangers think about me.
So the documentary starts off by Joss Peter basically having a pre-meeting before the D-Day, and a lot of things went down in this documentary, I have to say. Aside from the creepy interviews with the men that she slept with, Lily Phillips is a very beautiful girl. You could say she has a good body, has good facial features, and she's very beautiful. And this line of profession which she has chosen, although there is a lot of negative way that people tend to look at it, I think it's not okay in this sense, but yeah, she made her choice to go in this direction. You can see that even though Josh is basically asking her about her thoughts on how her parents see the whole situation, the way she kind of talks about it casually kind of makes me wonder how far gone she is into thinking that this is normal. So the sex industry is something that it is blooming because the men are also kind of partaking in this. Without the men, many of these OnlyFans model would not exist. So there is a market of men who want women, but how far do you go as a woman to please these men? That is the important questions we need to be asking ourselves, because the video started out with her, Lily Phillips, basically saying she's doing this to kind of feel a sense of empowerment. And I just look at the whole video and ask myself, how is this empowering? It's one thing to choose the adult industry as your profession, but it's another thing to subject yourself to like being like rough handled and manhandled by a lot of these men that are strangers that you have no relationship with, and that too for what reason? For fame, for the money, because she's already earning a lot from like being an OnlyFans model. You guys know the figures. I'm gonna put up a video of these NBA interviewer speaking on how much OnlyFans models make, and let me tell you guys, these OnlyFans models are making way more money than a lot of these NBA players.
Made more money on OnlyFans than many of the NBA's biggest stars. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this list right here. Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Edwards. Look at the money that they're making. 42 million for Anthony Edwards, right? In fact, this platform has grown so much that in 2023, OnlyFans content creators earned a total of $6.6 billion, which exceeds the total of salaries earned by the entire National Basketball Association, which was at $4.9 billion, according to Basketball Forever. Ms. Reyes says she is a devout Christian and a virgin. So Sophie made $43 million and almost $5 million from Charlie.
The craziest part about it is when she was being asked about how her parents would feel about it, she responded very casually by saying that her parents didn't even know that she was undertaking this. I mean, if you look at this clip where Josh Peters is also asking her about what she thinks about finding a partner, the shocking part about it was how twisted her response was to me.
Do you think your partner one day will be someone from the industry most likely, or?
Yeah, I talk about this a lot with my parents because that's the one thing I guess they worry about is like, will you ever find a boyfriend?
Yeah.
But there's so many guys out in the world. I think, you know, one poor bastard's got to marry me. I rather think it's going to be someone from the industry or someone who is into lending me out.
Lending you out?
Yeah.
When you look at it in the other lens, like Josh was asking her a very like futuristic question, trying to gauge where her stance is on like finding the right man. You know that this video is going to reach millions of people. Your response should at least be something hopeful that at least you could find a man for yourself that can overlook the kind of things you've done in the past, which, if you think about it, is gonna be really, really hard. It just shows how much she doesn't value herself. Her response, her body language in the video clearly shows how tense she felt about answering that question. I really have to say that Josh, he was very empathetic towards Lily Phillips about the whole thing. And I am trying to put myself in his shoes. Like at the end, she ended up crying when he asked her about how she managed through the day and if she had something to eat. I guess responding to that, she ended up crying, and I'm just gonna show you guys the clip. Like, just watch.
I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Why not?
I think if you're a different type of girl, it's very like, it's kind of like being a prostitute in a sense of like, it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Like
more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
Sorry. Okay. It's okay. Just take
Yeah, 1 minute.
She made a comment saying that the undertaking wasn't for the weak and it was just for a different kind of girl. And that made me thinking, what kind of different? Because how different could one be to think that this is a strong endeavor for women to embark on? So she's crying and like basically talking about how she feels like at the end of the day she wasn't able to satisfy these men. And although she made this the reason for her crying. I'm pretty sure, like, if you watch through from the beginning of the video to the very end, to that point, you would kind of know. In fact, it is very obvious that she was just saying that to substitute or like disassociate herself from like the actual events that she had just gone through. Choosing to say that as the reason for crying at the end of that is absurd, because you're not even talking about yourself. You're not even talking about how you're feeling. It's not even about you. You started this whole shebang maybe for fame, but even if you started it for fame, for money, for these men, at the end of something like that, it should be about you, right? It wasn't for Lily Phillips. Her entire energy was so focused on how she made these men feel. And let's not talk about the men who actually lined up. Think about it for a second, guys. Like, if you had a boyfriend who kind of told you he was one of the guys who was with like Lily Phillips, that would be a very good reason to like instantly break up with someone like that. If you knew your man was the kind of man to sign up for something like that. It's not about just Lily Phillips. Like, we can talk about Lily Phillips all day, but the fact still remains that we live in a very sick sex culture, and that is like, it is eating up to our younger ones. It's eating up to our generation, and there needs to be like some serious check around this. A lot of people came out on Twitter and they were talking about having people put regulations on these things. And yes, I understand putting regulations around this, but sex is a really important part of like humans, but that's not the only thing that matters, you know. As much as it's important, it's not the only thing that matters. Josh also interviewed one guy,
another man, as he left the Airbnb, although he seemed shaken by the experience.
How are you feeling?
It's not something I'd normally do, but I saw it and I thought, what much wrong?
Yeah.
I think I saw it and I just thought, fucking might as well just do it.
I mean, the whole documentary started out with her feeling super confident about the challenge she was undertaking. But at the end, I just kind of asked myself, is this worth it? Because she would be more famous, she would get the fame, she would get the money, but she has entirely signed herself up to being objectified forever. Yeah, as a 23-year-old, you might think that this is like a good thing for you. I mean, maybe you've decided like not to have one man in the future. Yeah, you could just have multiple different men and it wouldn't matter. I mean, what's the big deal? But like, you also need to know that people change. How would she feel maybe in her 50s and she finds herself wanting a different lifestyle? Maybe she finds herself wanting to be more settled down. All of this, I mean, the money would come and go. What remains is your character. And I know that there are a lot of women who think it's okay to like have a sexual encounter with anyone in exchange for money. I am not here to advocate for like what a person choose to do, which is why I also want to talk about like having consensual sex and how that is also a fucked up reality that many men tend to capitalize on, because we do have a lot of young women who give their consent, but yet they are in a very vulnerable place, and a lot of men can see that. They can see that these women are vulnerable, but just because she's giving her consent, they go ahead with this without any emotions towards like how much they are taking from this girl or how much they are actually using this lady. Really, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. In the documentary, you can see that only Lily's face and Josh Peter's face are like the only faces that were in blood. Her assistants' faces were blood, and all of the men also who signed up for this. So that clearly shows you how comfortable Lily herself feels about this. But in the end, her crying utterly negates the whole point of her, whatever she said in the beginning of like feeling super confident about it. Clearly, she doesn't feel accomplished. She still needs to fill up that void in her. I say this because she has also mentioned that she would be trying out 1,000 men in one day. And that, I just had to take a chill pill for a moment to digest that. Like, what would make a woman want that? Ladies, I just want to say something. Sometimes if you do something, you really need to think about the consequences, because I don't know how Lily is going to pull through with all of the negative comments. And besides, Josh also interviewed another OnlyFans model who has also gained herself a massive reputation, and that lady was not at all in support of that.
What do you think?
I think it's really sad. I just worry about her mental health. I'm hoping it's a hoax and it's not gonna actually happen. I don't know. The problem is that when you sign up to objectifying yourself, it's like you're signing a deal with the devil. Like, no one is going to see you as a human being. It gets to the point where everyone objectifies you. That's the reality of it. You're like the cash cow.
So imagine an OnlyFans model like yourself also saying her thoughts on how this is. I'm pretty sure as an OnlyFans model, there are a lot of like things that go behind the scene. Because one of my earliest thoughts about this after watching the documentary was, how exactly is she certain about the kind of men that she would be meeting? Like, what if you're meeting like a serial killer? I don't encourage this for any lady. A lot of these porn stars are also like facing threats and also being stalked, and some of them also losing their lives in the process. And here is Lily Phillips putting herself out there and putting these challenges. And let's not talk about the STDs also, because 100 guys in one day, how can you be so certain that it is 100% a safe sex? How could you be so certain? She needs to have herself some really good friends to put her in check and actually tell her the truth. Initially, they were very strict on like getting tested and having their test results, but towards the end of the video, the documentary, you can clearly see her personal assistant saying that it was just like a run-through thing. Like anyone, they needed to get the 100 people down. So at the end of the whole thing, they had men who felt like they weren't satisfied come back. That is just super sick to me. Don't be out there thinking as a young lady you could pull these 100 stunts and it would just be fine. I'm telling you, it's super risky and it's not worth it. As an OnlyFans model, she has many different men who she has access to. But you as a young lady out there thinking that you're an OnlyFans model and you could pull this through, you're just exposing yourself to like the dangers of contracting one of these deadly diseases. And trust me, you wouldn't have the money or the finance to treat yourself and get yourself in the best health conditions. That doesn't mean Lily Phillips is any better, because I definitely think this is a twisted scenario and something like this should never be a reality. But unfortunately, we live in a reality where things are even happening, and she's even about to embark on a 1,000 men challenge. How sick could that be? Her entire reason for embarking on this was to empower herself, feel a sense of empowerment. But how is it empowering when it is the men that take from you? They are the ones who, you have to satisfy. You're offering yourself to these men. They take from you. They pay you to get what they want. At the end of the day, you're just a slave to their desires and their sexual urges. You are not in any way empowering yourself by subjecting yourself to these men. It's just like the Balthazar Ebang's video I did previously. I'll leave a link to that. That one was one guy to 300 women, and I really shared some interesting like idea around like what I think with marriages and how many women make choices like this, what might be the reason, which is also the reason I'm really discussing Lily Phillips. I believe that redemption is something everyone have the capacity to experience at some point in their life. I just wonder if she thought about the consequences too, and if she is 100% satisfied with whatever the outcome might be in this, because you never know what your actions might result in the future. This is a very important thing that we need to realize. So every decision you make has a snowball effect that it plays on in the future. Lily Phillips is doing a lot of things that many people do in secret, but for her coming out openly and undertaking in this, it just says a lot about how she sees herself, how she thinks of herself, and what value or what respect she like gives to herself. So these are like things, the disturbing things that I I think I wanted to like kind of touch upon and just create the awareness for a lot of young ladies out there. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you did enjoy watching this, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to like this video and check out my previous videos or the videos that I have linked to this. I'm also gonna leave a full link to the documentary so you can watch that. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.